All right, I'm going to share with you my journey to 3D printing my own flat cars in a very quick way, and then this video will be about how I did it. I love making flat car loads, tons and tons of flat car loads. I have over 150 different flat car loads. They're airplanes, cannons, you name it. Lots of fun, World War II, World War I. But you end up using a lot of these Bachmann wood-sided flat cars, which is fine, except that they're getting pretty expensive, for one, on eBay, and two, Bachmann seems to have stopped making them. So eventually I found a way to use S-gauge flat cars and cut them up and reassemble them. And I have a whole video on that, but that's also pretty lengthy in effort. It works fine and they look great. They have lots of details. But eventually I got to the point where I wanted to learn how to 3D print them. Terrifying aspect. And the other thing that was important to me is I wanted these steel-sided cars in ON30 in order to be able to use, because a lot of the loads that I use would have had steel-sided cars. So this is the end product. As you can see, I used coffee stir sticks that I cut at the right direction and put in lots and lots of details. I put in the pockets as well, and I'll talk about all of that. And eventually I printed my own Bentendorf trucks and my own pin that I put in there, so I don't need screws, I don't need anything else. I even 3D print the coupler box right into the into the truck, and all I need to do is add the knuckle coupler into here. So yeah, just a little bit of detail on the inside, not very much. But yeah, overall, really a fun project to do. The end product of this, after you weather it and so on, is something that looks like this, right? Where here I have tractors, pre-World War, sort of World War One-ish style tractors that have been shot up full of holes from an airplane strafing them, and they're being transported away, right? But I was able to age the deck and age the sides, and it all worked out very nicely. Pretty happy with the results. So the rest of this video is how to do the 3D print and how to do add everything to it so that it looks like one of these cars. Here's what it looks like. Enjoy. So I started with a flat car from Thingiverse, which has free software, free STL files, and then I just added stuff to it until it looked like a steel-sided flat car for ON30. And what you can see is the bottom is completely flat, which is why it's resting the way it is. And then, as you saw in the introductory video, is there will be wood planks that will be put here that will make up the deck. So I don't have any details there. I made these little pockets for to be able to put stakes. I added every single one of these rivets in place, which was tedious, but well worth it. You're only doing it once, and then you just duplicate this whole side for the other side, so it's just the same. I added in these coupler boxes. I put in the peg here for the Bachmann wheels to fit onto. Eventually I printed my own Bentendorf trucks, and then I have a peg that goes right into that hole. And I moved all of this forward enough so that and back enough so the wheel sets don't interfere with the coupler box. I just added a little bit of detail under here, which isn't really necessary, just these tanks under here. So not too complicated, pretty cool stuff to do. Lots of fun. I had to learn a lot to do this, and I'll talk about the resin in a minute. before I go too far, the unfortunate thing is that one has to drill into this resin for a couple of reasons. When I print the resin, or when I print this hole where I will need to put a peg or a screw or something will actually fill in a little bit. So it won't be quite the right diameter. The thing that I found is I could have just put a post here that I drilled into, but it's hard to drill into resin that has been cured and it shatters. So by putting in a hole, it allows the bit to go in and just and go in pretty nicely. So that was a lesson that I had to learn. Now the other thing that I did is I also have some stirrups that have a little peg in them to add to this after it's been 3D printed, and I did the same thing. You see, I added this little hole right here in order for the peg from the stirrup so to go into, but I also have to pre-drill. So it's effectively pre-drilled by having the hole there. But that keeps this part from shattering. So yeah, just not too complicated to do. It just takes time. I had to learn on how to do all of this. Just a lot of fun, a lot of learning experiences. Now the resin I use is a high detail resin, and I'm using a UV cured liquid resin, kind of 3D print, um, in order to do this. And what's important is the details down here. So I'm going to blow these up for a minute. And what you can see is that the layer thickness, each time there's a UV exposure, it only goes up by 0.025 millimeters. This is tiny, right? It takes many of these in order to eventually make this whole thing. Because this is so small, it takes about 30 hours to print this thing. And then its exposure time is about 3 seconds, and the off time is about 1.5 seconds. That allows the resin to fill in under the exposure time. So not too complicated. The other thing is that I had to learn in all of this is that to print this, you see, you actually need, if I try to print it this way, a lot of these details get lost in the liquid resin. So what I found is that by rotating it, I find this funny, by 77 degrees, uh, it actually, and then adding in these supports, and I choose a medium support. You could choose light or heavy, but medium is pretty good. And here I only choose a 0.2 millimeter depth and a very narrow this width here. The reason I choose narrow here is that because I want it to break off easily. Now, if you make it too small, then it doesn't support the print as it's going along and it breaks off in the resin and you have a failed print. The contact width is about 0.3 and the length is about 3 millimeters. These seem to have been pretty good parameters. And let me just, we're going to generate these. And what you see, of course, is that it produces these little legs that will support the print as it's going up. It's not too many because I chose medium, and these break off easily, and they don't break any of the details as I'm breaking them off. So it turns out to be a very nice set of combinations. The details, what I found is the details up here are much better. Well, not much better, but better than the underside equivalent details that are down here on the underside. I mean, where all of the pegs are actually meeting the bottom of that structure. Not quite sure how to make that any better, but it's good enough. I'm happy enough with it. So, and then the next step is to save the slice file, right? So I just and what it's going to do is it's going to slice this thing up in those distances that we talked about, and or produce the slice file. And as you can see, as I move my slice, it starts producing and this is what the printer will use to actually print the whole thing all the way up to the top, right? And then down here, I save the slice file, and I put it on a thumb drive, take the thumb drive to the printer, and then just hit the print button. And this takes about 30 hours. It's a long print. It's a very long print, but it always works out, right? And I actually do 6 of these at a time. So I'll just duplicate this 6 times. So it's not hard. It's not hard. It's yeah, it's amazing. I was very scared of even trying. I didn't think I would be able to have the skills, but there it is. It was just the willingness to try, and I had to do 12 of these iterations in order to get one that I was happy with in the end. So yeah, go ahead, try, enjoy, and the rest of the video is how to see the print happening, and then the rest that I did to this in order to eventually get to the flat cars you saw at the beginning. All right, see you in a little bit. We are 3D printing flat cars at this point, and the 3D print is done, and it took 30 hours, and it rose out of the resin that you're seeing in here. It's pretty cool. And you saw the intermediate. I took some videos of that. So now all I need to do is just remove the resin from the top before I take it off the stand, because it's going to drip everywhere. Then I take it off the stand very gently, and of course there's lots of liquid on there, and try not to, as you can see, it's already dripping. And it's stuff you just don't want to get on your hands in general. So if I had been smart, I would have worn some gloves, and what you're seeing me do is just trying to remove as much resin as possible off the plate, which isn't very much. But any amount will help from dripping. Okay, and I'm using this metal spatula to get these things off. And you can see there's 6 of them, and I pointed them in different directions. It seems to help. They print better. This is always tough, and you can always wrap your knuckles against this if you don't hold this back a little bit, and eventually it comes off. And that's about it, right? I re-tighten this, and what I'm going to do next in a little bit with some gloves is break all of these little things off, and then I'm going to put it in an isopropyl alcohol bath for about 3 minutes, and then when we get to that done, we'll come back. All right. Well, I'm printing another batch of flat cars. As you can see right there, they're coming out of the printer, out of the resin. And the previous batch you saw me scrape off is undergoing hardening, or the curing. As you can see, I put one of the flat cars standing up, and yeah, just getting 3 minutes in of hardening. And then what I'll do is I'll flip that around, and that's, by the way, that's a balsa little piece of thing that I put together to be able to hold that thing up. And then I'll flip it around and do the inside, the undercarriage of that car. Here are the others that have been cleaned of their of the sprues all over them. When I designed these on the CAD software, which you already saw, you saw that I had put a hole in here that could accept a peg that would lock the wheel set in place and keep it from coming off. So the hole was pre-designed, but this is, as you've seen, a liquid resin 3D printer, and so the hole actually ends up filling in, which I'm going to have to drill out. And that's the issue that I wanted to talk about, is the fact that I've designed a hole in here, even though it's not the full hole, it's not the right hole size. Using a drill bit on this resin is so much easier because it already has sort of effectively a pre-existing hole. The same is true for this tiny little hole here that's going to accept the stirrups. The stirrups I have two little pegs, and one's going to be here, one's going to be there. And as you can see, there's a pre-existing hole. And that allows me to drill right into the resin without any trouble. So I'm going to use my Dremel right here, and I'm going to set it to about half its length, its speed. And here we go. Oops. Okay, so we've got two holes in here. Now we're going to pre-drill this hole, and as you can see, it was really easy. You know, this didn't shatter. And the same, we have to be a little more careful here because you can shatter the side, especially that the drill bit is bigger than the actual than the hole that's here, but smaller than the overall diameter of this this thing. So it's slow. It's letting the drill bit center itself into that hole, and then you just go all the way down. That little wisp that you saw, that is not from the heat. That's actually just from the dust and the wind. This is actually stays pretty cool as it's going through this. This is not, the drill press is not set at that to be that fast. Now, when I blow this clean, you can see it's bigger. It's bigger than that. The sides have not shattered, and it's really steady and sturdy. And I can put my my wheel sets on there. So not too hard to drill into this. You have to use the right kind of resin, the right drill bits. This is a wood drill bit, not too complicated, and it's not the fastest speed. And I just go slow and let the fact that there's a pre-existing hole there really helps the drill bit go through the resin. So yeah, not too hard, just careful and steady. Well, we just finished the deck that you just saw in the video, me adding all of these things. And now the question is finishing the underside, right? So you have to, and you can use the trucks from Bachmann. They'll work on that peg. You want to just make sure that's true. And you can put in a screw, or you can just put in this peg that I did. But I ended up 3D printing my own Bentendorf trucks. So they look like this. Quite easy, not too complicated. It's kind of an easy print. Very nice. You know, I made sure to add the hole, the gap in here, just very much like the Bachmann ones have, so that I can put in that peg or the screw and it will hold it. And then I just used, I painted it black, I spray painted black, and I used these KD 24-inch Griffin rib black metal wheels to put into into the truck. You know, rolls very nice, just almost as smoothly, not quite as the Bachmann ones, but you know, overall, I basically spend about $18 in bits and pieces and all sorts of other things. So that's what goes into the wheels here, is in the trucks. And then in here, you had seen the 3D print. I use the EasyMate, and I just used a long shaft center knuckle coupler, and it just goes in there. It just fits over that peg that you had seen in the design and in the print, so not too hard. It has the, yeah, just a very nice little coupler. And then I also 3D printed a cap that I just put on top of that coupler box, and that's it. That's the whole thing. I do add the stirrups that I get from San Juan. Not too hard. So, and I only do two. Do one on this side and one on the kitty corner side. That's it. And then the very last thing is the brake wheel. And this is an example of a brake wheel that's from Bachmann, which you can use. Or, of course, I 3D printed my own, which you know, they in the 3D print and so on they get, but I can bend them back into being straight. So yeah, then just assemble the whole thing, and there you are. You have a flat car for about $18-19 with all of the bits and pieces that are involved. And it's about $18-19, including all of the shipping and taxes that I've had to use. Now, here's the funny part. We're going to take a little trip here over to my next work table, or to my shelves, and what you're going to see is what doing many of these all at once. So I did do 36 of these at once. So I have about 4 or 5 years worth of flat cars available to me, and doing loads. And then the last step, as we talked about, is really the aging part. And I think you saw this. This is this car right here, which I will point to right now. Oops, where are you? There you are. Okay, so that's the, you just put some washes, and I've got some videos on how to age these trucks. So yeah, lots of fun, learn tons and tons of stuff, lots of iterations. If you follow sort of the instructions that I gave you, you got it. You don't have to sort of, hopefully that will cut out a lot of the guessing. All right, have a blast.